On January 2nd, 1963, The Rescue premiered on UK televisions. The third serial of the show's second series, this humble two-part story had the important task of introducing us to the show's first new companion after the departure of the Doctor's granddaughter Susan at the end of the previous episode, The Dalek Invasion of Earth. And after absolutely loving The Dalek Invasion of Earth, will this one follow up on the enjoyment factor? Or will it flop horribly like Season 1's Dalek follow-up, The Edge of Destruction? Ugh. This episode begins with soon-to-be companion Victoria bouncing onto the scene with a smile. We're introduced to Vicky along with her shipmate Bennett, two survivors of a spacecraft crash. Marooned on a hostile alien planet called Dido, with a rescue shuttle only days away, the pair are harassed by the creature Kukullian. Kukullian, whose intentions seem uncertain to say the least. Meanwhile, the TARDIS arrives elsewhere on the same planet, and we get to see the effects that Susan's departure is having on the crew. The Doctor is clearly still adjusting to her departure, and gets quite upset for a moment. Thankfully, he does keep his polite behaviour from the last few stories. No more obnoxious grumpy Doctor, more sleepy Doctor for some reason. Anyway, it doesn't take the Doctor, Ian and Barbara long to stumble across Kukullian unaware of his motives. Can I just say that Kukullian has such a cool costume? All the spikes and features, it's a really intricate design. Dude straight up looks and sounds like a creature from the mighty Boosh. A very small thing worth noting is that every time he shows up, it plays that exact same sound effect of the weird dead metallic creature from the Daleks. 5 times. 5 times we get to hear that wonderful sound in this episode. Alright, let's see. While the Doctor is off gathering his all-important soil samples, Barbara is yeeted off a cliff by Kukullian. Rest in peace, Barbara, I suppose. No, of course she survives and is rescued by Vicky. No? The rest of the plot essentially boils down to Vicky trying to hide Barbara from Kukullian, while the Doctor and Ian make their way to find the crash ship in order to rescue them. No? Still not working for you? You might assume that being a two-part story, the rescue might skimp out in a few areas, but it is by no means a throwaway story. There's some genuine intrigue as to why Bennett is acting so strange and angry. I had my assumptions, but I'll get to that later. Sure, there's a weak, contrived cliffhanger ending to part 1 with the world's most ineffective trap that is immediately solved at the start of part 2. Yes, the trap is worse than those seen in the Keys of Marinus. We're talking like Danger Mouse levels of non-threateningness. The final negative, I promise. We get another humorous anticlimax with a possible confusing plot hole that's quickly patched up a couple of minutes later, so never mind, I guess? But honestly, after the shocking twist, I expected it to actually go somewhere, but instead they introduce a unexplained new element, and, well, I say unexplained, they do technically explain it, but they wait just long enough to make you wonder if it's a plot hole, and it just don't worry about it. It's impossible for me to explain properly without spoiling the ending for you. Now for my personal favourite part of this serial, these sets are magnificent. Interior caves with intricate carvings, an entire full-sized broken spaceship set with open windows that look out onto more exterior set locations that are used within the same episode. Again, they put a serious amount of effort and detail into this little two-parter. I guess I shouldn't let the 3-part disaster, The Edge of Destruction, dictate my expectations for smaller stories. Rightio, looking forward to the future, we've got a more well-mannered Doctor and a new companion. Let's talk about Vicky real quick. From what we've seen of her so far, I feel like she's a bit of a carbon copy of Susan, just as hysterical, but not as well acted, yet. She can go from ecstatic happiness and joy straight to a blubbering tantrum in seconds. I mean, obviously these are just my first impressions, and I'm sure that will eventually change when we get to see a lot more of her. Oh, no, I didn't mean the inappropriate costume choice either. That's not what I meant when I said see more of her, oh gosh. Moving right along from that unfortunate camera shot, there's something to be said about a solid 40-minute adventure with a concise, easy-to-follow narrative and enough attention to detail to keep you invested in the story. Honestly, because of the short runtime, I would almost recommend this to anybody looking to get a taste of what old-timey Doctor Who has to offer, and not just fans. You know how you might have that old show that you really loved because you grew up with it, but it's kind of a hard sell, so you try and find something easily digestible to show them as a kind of introduction to what the show has to offer? Well, I mean, this could be that. On an entirely unrelated note, has anyone got any good classic Star Trek episodes to recommend? Because I've never seen it. That brings us to the end of my little look at The Rescue. Tune in next week when we finish off the box set by taking a look at the creatively titled The Romans. Really going all out with the creative naming conventions, aren't we? Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this week's review. It is nice to have a short one every so often. Makes things a lot easier for me when I'm trying to make these videos while balancing a busy work schedule. It does help when it's actually fun to talk about too. Oh wait, I just remembered. Barbara kills an innocent unarmed creature in this episode. 0 out of 10, do not recommend.